Good morning guys from Belfast City Centre. Today I'm travelling back to Shrewsbury, but it'd be very easy, wouldn't it, to just take a train out to the airport and catch a flight, Birmingham or Liverpool somewhere, and then just get the train home. Probably take me about four hours or so in total. But yeah, there's no way I'm doing that today. I'm doing something far more exciting. I'm taking the ferry, and I'm taking the train, and I'm taking another train, and I'm taking another train. Honestly, it's going to take me about 12 hours, and I'm doing it on one ticket. Plan is to get a bus from here out to the Stena port, and from the Stena port in Belfast, that's going to take me to Cairnryan in Scotland. And then there's a bus that takes me up to Ayr, and from Ayr I'm taking a train to Kilmarnock, and then from Kilmarnock I'm taking the train down to Carlisle, and then from Carlisle I'm eating the train that takes me down to Crewe. And finally, from Crewe, a Transport for Wales train will take me to Shrewsbury. Now, what could possibly go wrong? Well, I'll tell you what, come with me to find out. I'm sure it'll be fine. It's only about 12 hours until I get home, so yeah. Join me on this trip. It's going to be a good one. I'll catch you in a bit. So first of all, I picked up the 96 Translink Metro bus from the stop here in Belfast City Centre, Upper Queen Street. Now this takes you to the Stena terminal for Cairnryan and will cost you an additional £2.20. It is, however, by far the cheapest way to get to the port, and this service is timetabled to link up with the ferry sailings. Okay, so that's the one we want. It's 96 City Centre, Crewe Road, West Bank Road, Stena Line Terminal. Perfect. And we are waiting for the 0940. Perfect. And here she was, right on time. Nice looking bus actually, and it left on time too. 0940 exactly. I was the only person on the bus at this point, and it makes its way through the industrial area surrounding the port, taking approximately 20 minutes to get to its destination. Note that there are two different Stena terminals in Belfast, one for Liverpool and one for Cairnryan, so make sure you get the right bus for the terminal you're departing from. Now you can just about see our ship here, the Stena Superfast 7, as we pull into the bus stop right outside the terminal. Right then guys, at the Stena port, the Cairnryan port, don't forget, and yeah, 20 minutes on the bus, absolutely no problem at all. The ship is right behind me there. Looks like they're unloading at the moment, so we're going to go into the terminal, check in I guess, and wait to board. I'll see you in a bit. And the Belfast to Cairnryan ferry terminal is quite modern. Now, as I said, the bus drops you off right outside, and checking with your sail rail ticket is quite simple. You just give it to a staff member, and they take your name, destination, and they print you out a boarding ticket. And then it's a process of showing it to another member of staff, putting your bag through the scanner, and walking through the usual metal detector system. You then take the escalator upstairs, where there is a small cafe and further seats to utilise until you're called for boarding. The foot passengers boarded the ship about half an hour before the scheduled departure of 11:30. I'm not sure what you call these. They're the equivalent of a jet bridge, aren't they? But for ships, not aircraft. So sea bridge? Probably just a gangway, to be honest. Anyway, yeah, tip number one. If you're hungry, head straight for the Taste restaurant on deck 7 here. Just turn left and it's pretty much the first thing you come to.
Morning.
Morning. At my table were power and USB sockets. Condor ferries take note. There were plenty of staff on hand to help, and most car drivers seemed to be converging on this area too. I had a breakfast bap and a coffee, which cost me £9.60, but you know what? I didn't think that was too bad price-wise because all hot drinks were refillable. Now, like I said, my advice would be to get in here early, get some food, get a seat, and importantly, keep hold of your cup. Right guys, on the starboard side of the ship, we've got about 5 minutes to departure. Captain's just been on the PA and said it could be possibly gale force winds on the crossing, so they're going to put the stabilisers out, which will help. Personally, I think they should leave them. It'd be far more exciting, wouldn't it? But yeah, it's passenger comfort, isn't it, and safety, of course. So yeah, and I was just about to say actually that yeah, there's a decent amount of deck space on this ship. We're going to have a bit more of a wander around. I'm not going to do an extensive tour of the ship on this 2 hour and a bit crossing. It's just part of the wider journey today, but I'll certainly show you and comment on what it's like. So a few minutes to departure. Hopefully we'll get going soon. But actually, there was plenty to do on this crossing. If you like that sort of thing, there's a game zone for kids, a really popular cinema area, which was free, the usual lounges you would expect, including an exclusive Stena Plus lounge, bars, shops, even a Nordic spa. No, I didn't try it. There was also lots of deck space on this crossing and different seating arrangements too. And not plush like Brittany Ferries, but comfortable with its small round tables and wooden bench seating. Right guys, back out on deck, port side this time on the Stena Superfast 7. Yeah, we're about 45 minutes out of Belfast. Wind's getting up a little bit, but it's not too bad at all really. I'm quite surprised how busy it is on this ship. There's hardly any seating space inside, but there are a lot of facilities on board. So I'm really impressed, and quite a lot of deck space as well. But yeah, a busy crossing, but plenty of space to go around. We arrived into Cairnryan a little late, but were soon disembarking. Very efficient this was too, and it was a short walk along the sea bridge to the terminal building. There's no rail link to Cairnryan, so we have a coach transfer instead, which will take us as far as Ayr. This is all included in your ticket, by the way. Yeah, outside were a couple of CityLink buses and a private coach parked in the rail coach bay, which was a bit confusing. However, the Stena coach soon turned up, a Volvo B9R Plaxton Panther, and it was clear that this was the one, as it had the ScotRail logo on the side and a rather smart and very relevant personalised number plate. The driver checked for the right ticket and about 15 or so passengers boarded, I would say. Now, we left around 10 minutes late at 14:24, but that wasn't an issue. I had a decent amount of time in air where I would be planning on getting a late lunch. And the coach was fairly standard inside, no charging facilities, so as always make sure your battery pack is fully loaded. And no toilet either, but yeah, enjoy this windy but scenic ride up to Ayr with views out to sea and the iconic Ailsa Craig and the Firth of Clyde. I think it's a lovely part of the world, this, isn't it? I guess if you're not catching a ferry, though, people tend to ignore it as they make their way up to the highlands and islands of the west coast. It was longer than I thought, though, and yeah, it was 25 to 4 by the time we pulled into the station. Right guys, leg 3 complete, and yeah, we've got in probably about 10 minutes late, 15:35, just outside Ayr Station now. I've got loads of time until my train, so I'm going to head into town, get something to eat I think, have a late lunch, and come back here and yeah, we're catching the 16:20 up to Kilmarnock. I'll see you in a bit. Right, so after finding a well-positioned Costa in the local shopping centre, I found myself back at Ayr Station on platform 3, waiting for my 16:20 4-car train to Kilmarnock, as indicated on the dot matrix board here. And it wasn't long before the ScotRail Class 156 diesel multiple unit pulled into the station. Right, our train has arrived. So let's get on board the 16:20 to Kilmarnock. It's a bit warm on here. Is there power? Yes, there is. Great. Okay, let's find the table seat, I think. And we're off, bang on time, heading north again, crossing the River Ayr just outside the station here. Right guys, leg 4, and we left on time from Ayr to heading up to Kilmarnock. And I've got an 11-minute change there, and this is only a short leg, this one, so I've got no concerns about making my connection there. one I am more bothered about is Carlisle, because it's an almost 2-hour trip down to Carlisle from Kilmarnock, and I've only got a 7 minutes connection time. So yeah, that's the one that I'm bothered. If I make that, then I think that we're really good to get back to Shrewsbury at around about 10 o'clock tonight. If I don't make it, well, I'm going to be a little bit later on that. So let's see how we go. Not too much of note on this short leg, to be honest, although we do pass Prestwick Airport on the right here, with its runway lights almost touching the railway line. Now, I'm sure I flew from Prestwick once somewhere a long time ago. Didn't it used to be Glasgow's main airport, this? What happened? If you know, please let me know in the comments below. We creaked and groaned into Kilmarnock. The poor unit sounded exhausted, but it was on time, and I only had a short walk up the platform to our waiting train to Carlisle. Another Class 156, but this time just a 2-car diesel multiple unit. Kilmarnock then. There is another train in the station, it's miles away over there, but we should have plenty of time to make it. I'll see you on the next one. On we go, leg 5, another 156. Find a decent seat, I think. Okay, so the critical leg is down to Carlisle, and thankfully we left on time again. But full marks to ScotRail here, and incidentally we had the same driver and guard as the previous train. Now, decent interiors on these trains too, in my opinion, nice and comfy with that seat power. Train was quiet, for now. What more do you need? It was my first time on this line, and I had plenty of time to relax and enjoy this very rural and beautiful journey. So a little bit about the SailRail ticket then. All you need to do is put your port of arrival or departure into the journey finder on most ticketing websites. It's zone based, so depending on your departure or arrival point, it'll price up the fare accordingly. But basically, the further away from the ferry, the more you're going to need to pay. Not by much though. Well, London, for example, was only £8 more than my Shrewsbury fare one way. And yeah, it's as simple as that. Get your ticket the old style way from the station and show it to anyone who asks. Easy. Passed through Dumfries and then Annan, or Annan, I bet you can pronounce it better than I can, where plenty of locals got on, heading out to Carlisle for the night, I reckoned. There were some great views over the Solway Firth as we approached the West Coast main line, and yeah, time to make my next connection, which I was already feeling relaxed about. Here's why. Carlisle 2 minutes late, which is fine actually because I checked real-time trains and Avanti are running 11 minutes late at the moment, which is great, isn't it? And they are due to arrive on platform 4, which is just there, which is a even better bonus. So no pressure on this whatsoever. I just chill out here now for 10 minutes or so and wait for leg 6, the Avanti West Coast Pendolino down to Crewe. Carlisle station is a great place for train spotting, isn't it, if you're into that kind of thing. I'm not, by the way, but I know some of my friends on here, and Twitter, or X if you want to call it that, are, even if they don't want to admit it. Yeah, you can spend hours on here watching the interesting stuff rolling past. And it was 1854 by the time my Avanti West Coast Pendolino eventually dawdled into the station. It was lovely and quiet on it though, and I was able to get a table seat in the recently refurbished train set. Leg 6, Avanti West Coast Pendolino with the refurbished interior, which is nice, isn't it? And it's not too busy either. Fortunately, it was about 11 minutes late getting into Carlisle. It was a bit of a wait in the end, but we're on our way now. Yeah, it'll be time to grab some dinner, I think, in the next half an hour. I'll catch you in a bit. It was a beautiful evening as we sped down the WCML. These trains are so quiet inside, aren't they? And I really like the new interiors. I had some dinner, including a well-needed cup of tea at this point. I just relaxed into my seat, enjoying the rolling hills of northern England. And we actually made up time, and finally arriving into Crewe only 1 minute behind schedule. And here it was, my 5th and last train and the final leg, leg 7, a Transport for Wales 2-car Class 175, which would just take 34 minutes to speed down to Shrewsbury. Now I was feeling alright at this point, bearing in mind I'd left Belfast City Centre almost 12 hours earlier, and I still had to walk home yet. Anyway, the sun was setting on this journey, but it was nearly over, and we pulled into Shrewsbury station right on time. Bang on time. I walked down the familiar steps, through the ticket barriers and out, past the taxi rank. There's only one taxi driver I trust here, by the way. The others will all try to scam you. Anyway, I was walking up the castle gates, heading for a well-deserved pint on the way home. But before that, I just about caught my breath enough to think about the day and take a minute or two to summarise the journey. Right then guys, back in Shrewsbury at just coming up to 10 o'clock in the evening. A long day, but we arrived bang on time, and so it's around about 12 hours and 20 minutes since I left Belfast City Centre. And did it make any logical sense? No, but I just wanted to see what you could do really for 50 quid or thereabouts. And you know, I had a great day's travelling, 2 buses, a ferry journey, 4 trains. I can hardly remember all those legs of travelling that I've done, and you know, I could have easily got a plane back and been home in like 4 hours, but just a bit of fun, isn't it? And that's why I did it, just to have a bit of fun, and I hope you enjoyed coming along with me too. Thanks as always for watching guys, and let me know what you thought of the trip in the comments below, and I will catch you on another adventure soon. As always, cheers for now.